Hey everybody, thought we'd do some pro tips and tricks on the Lucioli. I know when we first started using these, experimenting with them, we also looked on YouTube for videos. It's kind of interesting. The videos showed you the obvious things. Somehow they edited forward to the completed thing. Pretty sure this was done because everybody had to find out weird ways to complete it. Yelling at wives, yelling at kids, trying to have your dog hold a tire lever. I would imagine that's why they're edited. I know we did a video as well, but when it got kind of hard, we kind of edited some things out, I believe. So since then, we've learned a lot. I haven't seen anything with dismounting the Lucioli. Funny enough, that's equally important if you ever want to put a new tire on your dirt bike, which I'd imagine some of us do. So we got the 7-pound beast here. We're going to do a dismount, probably show less of the obvious, not edit the hard shit. Lucioli has 2 rim locks. It's going to remove the valve stem and the 2 rim locks. Everybody knows how to loosen up rim lock, so we'll do these. We'll take the valve out. So for good practice on any of these, push back and just make sure that the bead is loose. Make sure nothing's stuck both sides. And it's good practice to do with anything you're putting on. You don't really need a Ramaconda for this, but they're always kind of nice. Grab a couple tire irons. We're just going to work one side up. So I usually set 1, set 2, set 3. And then I like to push it, the third one, back, because this keeps it from flipping out once you get pressure on it. Always good practice. Take pressure off the bead by putting this dead center. So as you can see, as I push the tire in dead center, that's going to take a lot of pressure off the tire. And now that we've got this started, just going to work all the way around. And someone told me once a long time ago, if you're sweating when you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. Unless you're watching Cops at 4 o'clock. Sometimes I sweat when I watch Cops. So that's the one side. Flip her over. We're going to do it just like last time. So we're going to go dead center. 1, 2, 3. And we just work her all the way around. Now you're trying to figure out how to get this thing off. And this is where I think a lot of people have had issues. So you can see here we got the valve stem side, and I take the side with the valve. This is the side we put on first. So to me, I'm just going to take this to get away from the sprocket. But for me, we always put the valve stem and the first rim lock that are together in first. So to me, it just made sense that you would take them out first. So what I've done, little trick, you use the curved tire iron, and you think, you got a tube in here. So let's just get this guy in here, come underneath that tube and come outside the rim. So if you look, I'm coming out the outside, right where my index finger is. And then from there, I can lever the whole thing back. Then now it's catching on the other side rim. So here we've got the rim lock. It's holding up on the rim. So I'm just going to push. I got that one over. And then I come back and I got the valve stem. So I'm going to put the little edge on here and the push. Now the whole tire should probably just pull off. That's it. Tire's off. Just like maintenance with a moose or anything like that, when you change these over, you really want to clean the Lucioli just like a moose. If you pull out a moose, you clean it out. I use the same technique. Again, I'm using the iron to get it out. I go circular. And that pulls her up pretty good. You can get a hold of it. Now I'll pull it out, clean it up, and re-lube it, because you lube these just like a moose. So I got water in here and silicone and all that nasty stuff. These reminds me after my last Taco Tuesday at Taco Bell. Cleaned the Lucioli here, made sure it was clean, no dirt, no debris on it. I lubed the tire, not the Lucioli, because some people show you lubing the Lucioli and all you do is squeegee half the shit onto your floor. Not so ideal. I'll just make sure the sides and the crown are fully coated silicone. You may even be able to use the Murphy's tire mounting compound, but we had a bunch of extra mousse silicone from the Michelin, so I'm just going to use this stuff up right now. So I'll just squirt it in and hand work it in and get the hole inside of the tire. Hey, one other thing we did figure out, since you have 2 rim lock holes and you got your valve stem hole and your tire's directional, we always want to make sure the directional tire is correct. But then also, it should go either way between the valve stem, but I'm kind of OCD, so I like to put the rim lock in the same hole every time. So for example, if the tire is correct, directional with the rim, and if I put the Lucioli in like this, I'm actually putting the rim lock stem in where the valve stem was before. So if I put it in the tire right now, even though the tire is directionally correct, they would be opposite. So if I flip this and I go this way and put it in the tire, then I'll match up the 2 stems and the valve stem will go in the original hole that it was in. And then also the rim lock will go where it originally was. For this case, it's going in like this. And then you'll see, so we're just going to put it in the tire. I've got the valve stem out. And then, unlike the other videos I've seen where they lube up the whole Lucioli, I've just completely lubed the inside of the tire. So when I push this in, I'm not going to have all of my lube squish out. And you just kind of work this black mamba in there. You can hear the air coming in and out. There she is. You got to remember on the Luciolis, they have a washer that goes over the rim locks. This one fell out, so I'm going to put it down there so I don't forget it. The other pro tip is when you're mounting these, especially the first time on a Lucioli, both the rim locks have a large metal plate inside the tube that's, I guess, injection molded when they do the rubber, and it hasn't conformed to the rim. This will be easier because it's already been done once and it should conform. But to give you more room on the other side, I suck the rim lock that we just got in all the way. I mean, pretty much as you can. If you think about it, if I suck this in this way, then it gives me more leeway for pulling this over the top, which has been kind of the shit of the whole thing. So I'll suck this all the way up. That'll shift the tube that way. But then I have to loosen it up when we do the final bead, and I'll show you that. So this will suck this all the way in. It'll give you more leeway over here to pull this rim lock over the rim edge. So this part everyone's kind of pretty much figured out. It's not so bad. I told you how to line these up properly. So we start the lug, then we do the valve stem, and we get them first. And this is just like doing a mousse. So I'll kind of just try to direct them in with the finger, then push with the Indian. And it can be kind of a little finicky, but it's most getting the angle and pushing in perpendicular. So, and it's kind of hard because you got the tire bead kind of has to be pushed down. So typically what I do is I get it lined up. I'm holding pressure with my knee. I can see the rim lock stud. I can see the hole. And usually if you just press it down with the tire iron, now I'm pushing that thing through with my knee. Like I said, most people have figured this out. This part isn't exactly rocket science. And so once I get that in, I'll throw down a rim lock nut to secure it. And then I'll come back to this. There's another tip to help out with the other side, especially when they're new. So now I'll go over to the valve stem, and sometimes it looks like it's not quite aligned, so you may have to give her a little bit of love, but I'm looking back and I can see it in there, and I can see where the hole is, and I just kind of try to shepherd it over there, get it lined up, and then usually you're pressing down. So again, a little bit of finick, a little bit of finesse, but if you can see it, and you can kind of peek in and see where it is in relation to the hole. And again, it just usually needs to just go down. And again, not a lot of pressure. I'm not sweating. And there it is. Just like a baby seal. Now we just need someone to club it. I actually like seals. Now we got this sucked in all the way. Now I'm just gonna work the tube around. Should be pretty easy. We got the Great Rabaconda, so I can kind of just set this one here and see if it holds. I'll just leave it there. And then I'll work the rest of this around, which isn't too big of a hassle. All these little bites. There's not much to worry about on the Lucioli. It's a big beast. So, and we're not even in the tire. So, but here's the problem: is you get to here, and then you got this stud right here, and I think this is what a lot of people fight with. And this is why, if you come over here, this is why I tighten this side all the way up. Again, I know I've said it like 6 times, but that's moving this further this way to give us more relief to get this in. So here's kind of my super trick, if you want to call it, is you got to figure out how to get that in. So I take one of these curved, I get it up underneath here, I get it on the edge, and this acts as basically like a sleeve to get this thing in. And now it's in. Now I rotate it back around for camera sakes, and I can kind of peek and see where it's at. And it's usually always high, you know, so I can see on the inside that it's about there, but it's just a little high. So if you push it down, I don't know if that was it. No, need to look again. Oops. And sometimes you can even peek in the hole when it's really close and see where it's at. And there it is, no edit. So, and see that? I just walked it right in and leave the tire iron in. I also use, I'll go back to the valve stem. I use 2 nuts on the valve stem. The valve stems do shear off when you have one lock nut, it shears off threads, and I find putting 2 on, I don't know if it completely solves it, but it definitely does help it. So now that I got this guy on, all right, she's on. I suck this rim lock up on the other side to help this side. You just got to remember to back this thing off for when you're getting the tires seated. Another little tip, you can put silicone on the bead. You know, a little glass cleaner works nice because it helps the bead seat with the rim locks, and then it evaporates. Maybe you get a better lock on the bead. I don't know, but it seems to work out pretty well. It's a hangover technique from the Moose days. So I just give her a nice little shot, and you can see where it's beating up. It's already got some little bit of silicone on there anyways. Just like on a Moose, set the first one, and then work our way around. I don't really need gloves, but let's just start working her. You know, and when you do these, all tire techniques kind of work the same. You know, you want to try to, when it gets tight, you put the tire in dead center, which is the center of the rim for the opposing tire bead. So, I mean, that's the same on a tube. It's the same on a Moose. So if you just use good form, and you can see right here that already sucked in with this rim lock. So we know that one's good. So that's a good sign. A little extra lube. So now you can start seeing the tire starting to get tight. And then here's where you go dead center again. And that's why I have the valve out. So as I push this right here, if I push this this bead off of the rim, now it's in dead center, and it produces a lot of relief on this back side. And that's the same technique for Mooses or anything. So we're about there. Probably got about one more. And look at that. So now if you look at this guy, it's perfectly seated. We got the valve stem in. we're done. Not really sweating. Tops isn't on till 4, so I'm good. We've tightened up the rim locks. We'll put in the valve stem, put 2 nuts on the valve stems, pump it up to your desired pressure, put it on the bike, and you're ready to go. Hit the trail, man. See you next time.